Life has a way of closing doors when we least expect it. Sometimes it feels like the universe is working against us, stripping away everything we hold dear. But what if those closed doors were never meant for us? What if in losing everything, we actually find what we were truly meant for? This is the story of Nathan. He's a man who lost love, stability, and his sense of direction, only to discover that every painful ending was pushing him towards something far greater than he ever imagined. Nathan had spent years building the life he always wanted. He had a thriving career as an architect in a prestigious firm, a beautiful fiancée named Emily, and a future that felt secure. He and Emily had been together for years, their relationship growing from youthful love into something deep and meaningful. They had just moved into a stylish apartment in the city, decorating every corner with their dreams of a lifetime together. Nathan was sure of one thing: Emily was the love of his life. They had spent nights talking about their future, about the house they would buy, the places they would travel to, the children they might have. One day, everything seemed to be falling into place, but life had a way of reminding him that nothing was ever truly guaranteed. One evening, after a long meeting at work, Nathan left the office feeling exhausted but excited. He had just landed a major project, one that could elevate his career to the next level. He couldn't wait to tell Emily. As he reached for his phone, a message appeared on the screen. "We need to talk." 4 simple words, but something about them sent a chill through his veins. Rushing home, he found Emily sitting on the couch, her hands folded in her lap, her expression unreadable. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice steady despite the growing sense of unease. She hesitated before speaking, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can't do this anymore, Nathan." At first, he thought she meant the stress of wedding planning or the pressure of their busy lives, but then she continued, "There's someone else." The words hit like a wrecking ball. Emily had fallen for someone else, and just like that, the future he had envisioned, the life he had built, came crashing down. The days that followed were a blur. Nathan moved out of the apartment, packing his belongings with hands that shook from both anger and heartbreak. He barely ate. Sleep became impossible everywhere he went. He saw reminders of Emily, the coffee shop they used to visit on Sunday mornings, the bookstore where they had spent hours picking out novels, the street where he first told her he loved her. And just when he thought things couldn't get worse, they did. A week after Emily left, Nathan's firm announced massive layoffs due to financial struggles. He was one of the unlucky ones. One moment he was a rising star in his field. The next he was standing in his empty apartment with a termination letter in his hands, wondering how everything had fallen apart so quickly. In the span of a few days, he had lost everything: his love, his home, his job, his sense of stability. For the first time in years, he had no plan, no direction, no idea what to do next. Nathan spent weeks drowning in hopelessness. He applied for jobs, but rejection after rejection only deepened his despair. Every interview felt like a reminder of how much he had lost. One evening, he found himself sitting alone in a quiet cafe, staring at his reflection in the window. He barely recognized the man. Looking back at him, a voice interrupted his thoughts. "You look like a man who's lost his way." Nathan turned to see an elderly man sitting nearby, sipping his coffee. Life has a funny way of pushing us in directions we never planned to go, the man continued. Sometimes what feels like the worst thing to ever happen to us is actually the best thing. You just don't see it yet. Nathan forced a small smile, but deep down, he felt nothing but emptiness. But those words stayed with him. Could it really be possible that losing everything was leading him somewhere else? Somewhere better? Weeks passed, and then, out of nowhere, an email arrived. It was from Oliver, an old friend who had moved abroad years ago. "Hey, Nate, I heard about what happened. I know, it must be tough. But listen, I have an opportunity for you. Something different, something fresh. Come visit. Maybe it's exactly what you need." At first, Nathan hesitated. Leaving the city felt like giving up. But then he thought what was really keeping him here, his job was gone. Emily was gone. Maybe it was time for a change. With nothing left to lose, he booked a flight. Landing in a new country was both terrifying and exhilarating. Oliver welcomed him with open arms, showing him around and introducing him to people who lived life differently, not chasing money and status, but passion and fulfillment. One day, Oliver took him to a community project where architects and designers were working on sustainable housing for underserved communities. At first, Nathan just observed, but as he watched them build, not for profit, but for people, something shifted inside him. This wasn't about skyscrapers or luxury apartments. This was about creating something meaningful. And for the first time in a long time, Nathan felt something stir inside him, hope. Nathan decided to stay. What started as volunteering turned into a passion. He saw firsthand how his skills could transform lives, not just landscapes. Days turned into weeks, then months. He wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. And as time passed, he realized something even more profound. If Emily had stayed, he would have never left. If his job had remained secure, he would have never sought something greater. Losing everything was exactly what he's needed to find his true purpose. One evening in a small bookstore, Nathan met Sophia. She wasn't just beautiful, she was kind, intelligent, and passionate about the same things he had grown to love. Their connection was effortless, built not on past wounds, but shared dreams. With Sophia, love felt different. There was no fear, no uncertainty, just a quiet, undeniable certainty that they were meant to be. Looking back, Nathan realized that life had never truly closed doors on him. It had simply guided him to the right ones. What once felt like his worst nightmare had become the best thing that ever happened to him. Because sometimes when life closes a door, it's not rejection, it's redirection. And on the other side of that closed door, a life more beautiful than he had ever imagined. No matter how painful the loss, no matter how hopeless the situation, trust that something better is waiting for you. Because sometimes the doors that close are the ones that were never meant to be opened. And when life closes, one door, a better one, always opens.